Hello everyone, my name is Abhi Sani and I want to talk to you guys about Burp Suite and how it can be used within your cybersecurity toolkit to protect web and mobile applications. So Burp Suite is a phenomenal product that's designed to intercept traffic both on HTTP, APIs, different things on the web interfaces. It's used on both sides of the cybersecurity model, both on the red team attack side and the blue team defense side. So if you have two different scenarios here, within a company, you're going to have, within a cybersecurity force, either within a large enterprise or a pen testing team or a security team, you're going to have the red team, which are the simulated adversaries. They're going to be the ones that actually try to penetrate the network, try to destroy the systems, try to hack into the systems, try to attack the databases, attack whatever's being protected, whatever's being run in the system. Their whole goal is to identify all the attack paths that a real attacker would be able to use to get into an organization and wreak havoc. On the other side is the blue team, the defense team, that their job is to protect the company, protect the infrastructure from attack. So the blue team's job or goal is to determine all of the different ways to protect the company from attack. They will analyze the different pathways the red team found, the different vulnerabilities the red team found, and then determine the best method of protecting the company and the defenses from attack. So both of these work together. In some organizations, you might even see a purple team, which is a team that has both red and blue team members. And they would be working together, or maybe it's a single team that does both sides to both attack and defend the infrastructure. So Burp Suite has a free community edition. This is installed already by default in Kali Linux. This is going to do a lot of what you need to get started within web security and just learn how to use the tool, learn how to use a lot of the different attacks, and better prepare yourself to both understand how these attacks work and how you can defend against them in your education as well as on the job. And then Burp Suite has both a professional edition and an enterprise edition, which adds a lot of features from just being able to orchestrate attacks, automate things, an entire stack of web vulnerability scanning, and a lot of tools that aid professionals in their web application vulnerability testing. So the easiest way to launch Burp Suite is either opening a terminal and typing in Burp Suite. Alternatively, you can open up from the application menu under Web Application Analysis. You have Burp Suite, and when we launch this, we're going to get a pop-up that asks us how we want to open it up. With the Community Edition and with no previous projects, the temporary projects is what you're going to use, whether you're doing a capture the flag or a testing a project, or you're just trying to crack into a system that you're learning on. Temporary projects are perfect for what we need. And then if you have a configuration file, you could load it here, but when you're just getting started, you're just going to be using the Burp defaults, and we can hit start. So this is going to launch the Burp Suite application. So now that Burp Suite's open, we can see here that we have 4 main panes. And this is very useful for the professional tools. The issue activity is going to show you different issues that you're working on, different things that you might need to attend to. Advisory is going to give you advice on things and show you advisories. But both of these are part of the professional version, so we can't use them. So instead, what we want to do is look at what we have for our target, proxy, and intruder, repeater, collaborators, sequencer, decoder tabs. So the first thing you need to do when you get started with Burp Suite is go to your proxy tab and open up proxy settings. This is going to show you the proxy port that Burp Suite is listening on. So in our case, it's listening in localhost :8080. And so we need to set up a proxy with our browser to use that. You can also use the built-in browser that from Burp Suite, and this automatically is part of the interception tool. But instead, we're going to use Firefox here. So within Firefox, you can set up the proxy to be a little bit more permanent, and go into your settings, search for proxy, and you can configure the proxy connection here. Alternatively, I have an extension called Foxy Proxy installed, and we can set this to, and I already have a Burp Suite proxy here, but if we go to our options for Foxy Proxy, under proxies, we can see that we have our host name, just 127.0.0.1 as our local host, with a port 8080 as we saw in the proxy settings for Burp Suite. Once this is added, I can easily turn off and turn on the Burp Suite proxy. So that way, whether I want it on or off, depending on what I'm doing, it's a quick and easy button instead of having to go back into the settings for Firefox or whatever browser you might be using. To showcase what the Burp Suite's can actually have, we can turn on the proxy. And then we have an intercept button here. We can turn on intercept. And what intercept is going to do is actually capture the traffic that's coming from the browser that is destined for somewhere else. So before it gets sent out to the servers or gets sent out and processed, it's going to intercept it and ask you what to do. So if we were to click on, let's say, brute force here, page doesn't load yet, but we get a pop-up in Burp Suite that's giving us the information of what the raw HTTP data is. So we can see that this is a GET request. We can see the URL, and we can see the version number. We can see all the different items that we have here for a HTTP header. And then if we hit forward, it goes on and sends that packet to the server it's intended for, and the browser then displays it. So I am using DVWA, the DAM Vulnerable Web Application. And if you are familiar with anything in the security space, you should be familiar with DVWA. It provides a playground for understanding and learning different web application security vulnerabilities. And there's different levels that you can access. So for this scenario, we're going to use the low security level, but by default, it's set up with the, oh, I still have intercept turned on, so I'll turn that off. By default, it's set to impossible, which is a little bit too hard to showcase just what Burp Suite's all about rather than focusing on DVWA. So we're going to hit submit and set our web security level to low. And it's still set to impossible. There we go. All right, so our security level is set to low. Now if we turn our interceptor back on and we go ahead and click into these different sites, we're just going to forward. I'll just click into different portions of the website as I'm gathering intelligence about my target. So now that we've clicked a bunch of items on the website, we've gone and enumerated the site manually, and I hit intercept, turn the interceptor off. Under target, we can see that we have an object here. We have a folder that's for the website that we are looking at, and within that we can see that we have the subset of folders and locations within the website. And we can see that there are a ton of different folders, and we can see that brute force is a little bit darker here. And this is one of the items we clicked on. Same with exec for command injection. We have upload for file upload. And the ones that we haven't actually clicked on, they're still here because they loaded some other object, but maybe they were found by clicking something else, but they're not loaded properly with all the data within it. They're not fully enumerated yet. So we can see that this doesn't have anything, but then if we click on file inclusion, this gets loaded, and we can have, there's more files here now. So this target system, this target location is what is going to showcase all the different aspects or all the different locations within the website as you enumerate through it. So within the target module here, or the target tab, you can see all the different requests that were made. And if we were to drill down to, let's say, this DVWA folder, we can see that 4 requests were made that were relevant to that folder. If we go to JS, we can see there's only 2. If we go to brute force, we made 1. If we go as we go up, we can see all the different requests that were made. So the cool thing about Burp Suite, and really one of the key things that you're going to be using it for, is being able to look at and decode the HTTP headers directly from the site that you're working on. So when we click on different objects here, we can see that the request header changes. Modify this, or we could analyze this and learn stuff from it. We can see that there are cookies, we can see the headers. We can take all this information and learn more about it and craft an attack or a defense against the vulnerabilities that we end up finding. So if you wanted to modify these headers when you're making these requests to the website, that's where the proxy comes in play with the interceptor. So when we turn this on, and let's say we go to SQL injection, we can see that we get the GET request. We can see the website that it's happening on, and we see the version for HTTP. So this is just loading the site, so I'm going to hit forward. The page now loads. So if we just do a user search for nothing, we can see that nothing there's nothing in the value. We hit forward, nothing happens. So instead, let's try the number 1, see what that shows up. We can see that the SQL query is happening right here with the ID equals 1, and it's submitting it. When we forward this, we get the ID 1 of our of a user. If we try 2, we can do the same thing. We can see that, and we do get a user there. So this gives us the idea that we can maybe perform a SQL injection technique. And so what we can do now is, let's say we submit 1, we can modify this query right here and in the raw HTTP header and send that off to the site. So let's try to modify this GET request and change this to a SQL query. So we can say 1 single apostrophe to start the query there. Let's do a union select user from users, right? And I'm going to copy that just in case. I'm going to forward that, and that didn't work. So was expecting that, and one of the things that if we send the request again to intercept that packet, one of the things that we might need to do is encode this as a HTML. So Burp Suite lets you do that right out of the box. You don't have to go and you don't have to figure anything out. You can just right-click the text that you want to encode, go down to Convert Select, and encode all characters as a URL. And when we do that, it makes it look prettier. Or it makes it look less pretty, but functional for HTTP traffic. So if we forward that now, so I completely forgot to explain the typo. So we're actually going to re-forward that. We're going to change the SQL query to be a 1 apostrophe union select user comma password from users pound. And then we're going to select that, use the Control U shortcut to make it a URL encoded piece of text. We're going to forward the packet, and on the right hand side you're going to see that all the database is broken and we have access to all of the users. So in a different scenario, you might be wanting to send commands over and over to a website. So if we turn our interceptor back on here and I type in your username admin and try to log in, we can see that we get a similar GET request here, where our username is admin, password's empty, login equals login. We hit send or forward, and we get username and password is incorrect. Well, what if we wanted to brute force this and get the password to this website. So we can hit login here. And instead of actually editing anything here, we can right click this and send it over to the intruder. From here, we can craft an attack that can brute force this. So we can go to our payloads, we can configure our payloads and determine what settings we want for this and where we want those to be placed within here. And we, if we were to execute that, we would then be able to run this command, run the script over and over and brute force a login, like in this case. So the intruder portion of Burp Suite allows you to automate those attacks and run any kind of brute forcing or fuzzing on the website that you might need to perform. In a similar fashion, how you maybe want to do something over and over again, you also have repeaters, a repeater tab within Burp Suite. So if we intercept some form of request here, we can then send this request, instead of forwarding it, send it over to the repeater. We can craft a request here and send that over and over again to the website as many times as we might need. This is useful for poking around on the website and trying to figure out how you're going to make it break, how you're going to find those vulnerabilities, try to figure out as much information as you can in order to make the website as secure as possible. Another useful tab within Burp Suite is the Compare tab, where you can then you can add items here. If you have a proxy, I can then send this to the comparer. Type in a different user. Oops. Hit login and send this to the comparer. And then in here we have two different requests, username for admin and username for password. And if we were to compare these, it will show us what's different between these two things. So in a case like this where it's very simple, it's pretty obvious what's different, but imagine you have a very long HTTP header, or you're comparing things that are in hex. You can determine what's the difference between two different items that you need to look at. So I hope you learned a few things here and there. I really wanted this to be a showcase of just what all the different tools that you can use within Burp Suite, and not necessarily how you would actually break into a website like DVWA. And you can see the different functionalities that Burp Suite has and all the different things that you can do with it in order to protect your web applications. This is freely available. The Community Edition is free. It's available within Kali already. I would recommend setting up your Kali machine, learning how to install DVWA on your computer, and then practice these different situations where you can penetrate through the system and find the vulnerabilities on DVWA. And then once you solve all of the ones in the low security level, you can then level up to medium, up to high, and even up to impossible, and really scale your learning. These are three really fantastic tools, DVWA, Burp Suite, and Kali, that all work in tandem so that you can learn everything there is to know about cybersecurity. So get out there, start hacking ethically, and hopefully you can learn something new. Thanks. Have a great one.